Americans of Reddit, what is something the rest of the world needs to hear? Our national parks are breathtaking. Can confirm. I'm from Ireland and I went to Yosemite in July. Hiked up to El Capitan and Glacier Point. It was the most beautiful scenery I've ever seen. Probably the most beautiful thing I've ever seen ever. If you like Yosemite, visit Zion National Park. It's similar, though not on such a grand scale, but still magnificent, but rather than the stark gray colors, it's all various shades of red. And when the sun changes positions the stone turns to different hues. It's literally awe-inspiring. Guys, charging to use the public bathroom is weird. I was in Vienna earlier this year and the urinals were free but every toilet had a charge. I felt bad the girls all had to ask for change. Sexism was one of the arguments used to abolish pay toilets in the USA, interestingly enough. Link. We drive cars because public transportation is non-existent for most people. I live 10 minutes out in the country from my nearest town and 30 to 45 minutes from the nearest city. I have to have a car or else I'm not getting anywhere. God, I wish people understood this one more. Not all Americans want to be car dependent. In fact, cities that had streetcars often ripped the tracks up to make way for cars. Ford, being an American, having interest in infrastructure, and furthering car dependence had a huge part to play in the way cities, towns were built from then on. Sometimes it was straight malicious. Columbus, Ohio had commuter rail lines out to many of the nearby cities in the early 1900s. The company was bought out by Ford as he began expanding his car industry and he drove up the ticket price to the point the average person couldn't afford to ride the commuter trains. Then Ford shut the commuter trains down because they no longer saw profit. American capitalism at its best. Stop telling us where various cities are located as if we're too stupid to figure it out. We know where Paris is. It's in Texas. They even have their own Eiffel Tower. With a hat. A fucking cowboy hat. I thought you were joking, but it's real and I love it. It's not that we don't want to visit other countries, it's that for the majority of Americans, Canada and Mexico are a day or two drive away, and paying over $1,000 to get a round-trip ticket overseas isn't something a lot of people can justify buying. Also, vacation time is a luxury and most people can't get a week or two off at a time. That's something I have always envied Europeans and Australians about. They get anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks paid vacation time, and we just get a lousy 2 weeks. And for the most of us, that's not even paid time off edit. I've been informed in the replies that it's closer to 4 or 6 weeks paid vacation. I may have been confusing maternity leave or sick leave or other types of leave with vacation leave. Not really sure what I was confusing it for. 12 weeks, nearly 1/4 of the year. My home would be cleaner and I'd be in a much better mental state if I could get 12 weeks. Y'all are getting fat too. We're not even in the top 10 anymore. Laughing from the lowest ranking on the list, you noobs. I couldn't be thin in a country with pho and spring rolls. We hate our politicians as much as non-Americans do. We do indeed have a few good ones trying to do the right thing, but they are heavily outnumbered by both people, votes and money. And people disagree about which ones are trying to do the right thing. I don't want to be car dependent. I have to be. If I could bike everywhere in a reasonable amount of time, I probably would. But biking to my work takes an hour because our cities sprawl so much and our bike paths are not good and car traffic usually is higher on priority lists than bikes, so our bike lanes are usually non-existent or minimal. And I live in one of the best cities, areas to bike in, according to some lists online. I would commuter by public transit if it didn't take 3 times as long, round trip. And that's on a lucky day. Boston, Massachusetts MBTA is tragic. My commute to work is 1.5 hours with 3 transfers, bus Watertown to Cambridge to train Alewife Station to bus north to work, by public transport, 50 minutes if I bike directly to Alewife and skip the first 2, and a 20-minute drive if I were to own a car. It's honestly horrifying. Animals in Yellowstone will kill you. Edit. Thank you everyone for the gifts. The norther you go, the bigger the animals that want to kill you. The souther you go, the more venomous. Water should always be free at restaurants. I remember when I was in Prague, we were out at a restaurant for dinner and a 0.5L beer was cheaper than a 0.5L water. It's because the Czechs haven't figured out that they have been able to drink water for the last 200 years. Please stop asking us to be militarily involved in world events and not militarily involved in world events at the same time. That's the most annoying thing. We get involved in the Middle East and America needs to stop policing the world. We don't get involved with Ukrainian and America needs to get involved to stop Russia. No matter what we do militarily, people get mad. Really, they just want to complain. Bison are not to be petted. Stay far away from them. People in America also need to know this. They really do. I grew up on a small cattle ranch. My grandfather was the kind of guy to get a bit bored and decide to do something different, so for about 8 years we had a small herd of bison running with our cattle. When I was a teenager, I caught a family in the process of jumping our fence. They'd pulled their car over to the side of the road. I could see them from the house. At first they were just taking pictures from the side of the road, which was perfectly fine. But then I saw them start to climb over the fence. I started running out to them shouting, "Do not cross that fence, they can kill you." They stopped and waited for me. When I got there, they said they just wanted to pet the bison. I explained to them that there were 2 problems with that, first being that they aren't pets They aren't hand tame. And while they would most likely just walk away from you, it's really not a good idea to mess around with something that can crush you flat without even noticing it did so. And the second problem was that they were trespassing. Honestly, I think that "No Trespassing" sign is the most ignored sign in the US. There's a gate at the end of my long driveway and we keep it open during the day just in case we have a package arriving. It has 2 "No Trespassing" signs on it. You don't know how many random people just come strolling on through. Same thing with my cousin, she has a beautiful property down a long road. There's no gate but still a "No Trespassing" sign on the front fence. She gave me permission to walk down the road into her property with my dog as I lived right down the road. One day I was walking back and I saw this mom and her kid entering the property and I asked, "Do you know these people?" And she said, "No, just wanted to take my daughter down there." The NT sign is huge and right in front of her face. I point at it and say, "Well, the sign says no trespassing." She looks, does a big huff and says to her daughter, "Sorry honey, they won't let you inside," in a very rude tone. Honestly, I wouldn't have cared much, but my cousin says how she hates random people coming onto her property. Some of us do know our geography. Damn right. What kind of idiot can't tell a square from a circle? No, you are confusing it with geology. That's the study of rocks, you mean genealogy. We eat other things besides McDonald's and fast food. I like that you put an "and" between those 2. Only a British spy would notice a thing like that. A lot of people here are actually pretty nice, financially struggling and just trying to get by, and strongly object to the government's cruelty. There are some brainwashed extremists, of course, like I'm sure every country has. But overall, yeah, we're just humans who would love world peace just like anyone else with the ability to rationalize with compassion. Canadian here. I enjoy the company of MPST Americans that I meet. Online, everyone is a dickbag. In person, most people around the world are nice. Well, there's your problem. Everyone's a piece of a shit online. Even me. Bitch. Very hostile. For a taco. Well, I am loco. So there's that. Wild card bitches. Yelling 9/11ths at us on COD doesn't do anything. We don't care. Edit. This is the most upvoted comment I've ever had by a long shot. Thank you guys so much. I will smoke a blunt in honor of everyone. Someone actually said that the other day and I legitimately thought he meant for us to call 911. To clarify, I am referring to the terrorist attacks that took place in New York City in the year 2001, resulting in the destruction of the World Trade Center. Oh, that is fucking it. Your ass is going down, noob. Downs Mountain Dew in frustration. America is huge. I've heard of people visiting the US and thinking they could see the Golden Gate Bridge in a day when staying in Ohio. That's a 2-day drive. Also, America has every type of environment. We have temperate climates, deep forests, mountains, beaches, volcanoes, deserts, swamps, bluffs, grass plains, lake towns, and even jungles and rainforests in Puerto Rico. If you want to experience something, most likely America has it. And that was just in the USA. If you're referring to the American continent, then obviously there's more. Edit. To the credit of many in the comments, we also have rainforests in the Pacific Northwest. I had never been out there and had no clue. This country really is big, lol. Edit 2. Looks like my 2 days to get from Ohio to the Golden Gate Bridge takes longer than that. Thanks commenters for pointing that out. I used to work in Mount Rainier National Park. One summer we had a girl from Romania work for us and she started bawling her eyes out when she found out NYC was thousands of miles away. Apparently she thought she'd be able to go there on weekends. The sad funny part about this is that she won the lottery with Mount Rainier National Park when it comes to some of the Earth's unspoiled beauty. NYC is a blast and all, but it's like being sad you won't be able to swing through Rio while you're in Patagonia. But then again, maybe Romania is close enough to a lot of mountain grandeur that eating at Flavortown in Times Square would be really special. We aren't all just like you see on TV or YouTube. I'm an Aussie that plays a military simulation computer game often, and my favorite server is an American server in particular. It's my favorite server, because of the decent people that are there. Sure, there's the occasional racist or arsehole, but compared to Aussie servers for this game, the American server is just a better server. Take this compliment, America. Can't speak on other topics, but on this example, I thoroughly enjoy chilling with you lot. There are some really funny, unique and kind players around. It makes the gaming experience wholesome, win or lose. In Australia in this game, it's all about seeing how fast you can win the match, all egos. Often by players who can't back them up with decent kill-death ratios. Respect fam. We're just people getting by. We know our country has problems, I'm sure yours does as well. Generalizing an entire nation based on stereotypes is stupid. American is so large and has so many sub-regions that generalizing America is the equivalent of generalizing Europeans. And this goes for some people in America as well. Florida man is only a thing because the state of Florida has really weird rules about how crimes are reported, put into the public record, so stories out of Florida just make better tabloid headlines and clickbait if you're an editor scrolling through the AP feed looking for wacky stories. If the exact same incident happens in California and in Florida it would be reported as drunk Florida man rapes alligator at Wendy's drive-thru, while in California it would be California man arrested for public drunkenness and cruelty to animals. Florida has some insanely open records laws, so all the headlines you see there you don't see other places cause you don't have access to the records without requesting them. If you don't know it happened you can't request them. Had a friend get arrested there and had his mugshot and all the details about 20 minutes after he was booked. The insanely open record laws regarding arrests by law enforcement came about because sheriffs in small towns would arrest people and they would never be seen again. So now if someone gets arrested, the public has to know about it, whether they are guilty or innocent.